So I'm bringing you Flat Earth Dave. Dave, welcome to TNT Radio.
Kate, so much to comment on there. What an opening. And flat earthers are, they say, flat earthers are anti-maskers. That's right. We all are. Every single one of us. But I just want to comment on one thing. Are you saying that I only have to have sex 14 times to equal an hour and a half workout?
Listen, I didn't major in maths at school, so you're going to have to throw that one out.
That would be 30 seconds per time. Never mind.
Let me tell you, fellas, it doesn't happen just instantly, just because you feel like you're up for it. You go in the bathroom, you brush your teeth, and you think to yourself, yeah, I'm up for it tonight. Us chicks don't work like that. We need romancing all day. We need flowers. We need nice things. Right. We need you to rub our heads and our feet. So anyway, we need you to talk about flat Earth. That'll really get us hot under the collar and going. Dave, yes. Are we living on a flat Earth?
Well, flat is a description of level and horizontal. The Earth is certainly not flat. It has hills and valleys, mountains and trenches, and it is very topographical. But if you look at any large body of water at rest, it is scientifically, testably, measurably, visually, provably level and horizontal. So yes, if you want to put flat into that description, 100%.
Wow. So why do you think they're telling us that we live on a globe that's hurtling through space, about to be hit at any time by meteorites, by Klingons coming on spaceships? Brits will know the Klingons.
I know it.
Why do you think that they oh, you know about the that was, I can't remember what it was called, the Clangers. We used to have a great TV program called the Clangers. Why do you think they're telling us that?
So while you were doing your opening, I was listening as a non-flat earther, globe believing, normal, God forbid it being normal, person.
A normie.
Yeah, a normie, and which is a horrifying thought. And I was going to say, what difference does the shape of the Earth make with all of this atrocity going on in the world? All of this stuff. Why would anybody care about the shape of the Earth? And it's about the lie. It's actually the lie. This is the one thing that allows them to get away with the wars, with the vax, with everything else, everything. Because if you're spinning out of control, if you're, you evolved from pond scum and you're on a microscopic speck flying through an infinite universe where an asteroid could take us out, where a star could explode, where, we're running out of resources, all of that stuff. If you live there, you are powerless. You are literally giving your power to the government, the govern, control, meant the mind. You're giving all of your power away. And that's what it's all about. It's all about power. It's about control. It's about keeping the population small so our collective mind doesn't grow and become powerful. It's about making us live in the physical and not understand the non-physical. It is the most important integral lie that keeps us slaves. So the shape, and we got to come up with a different thing. It's the lie. It's where we live. So, when you say the shape, what is a shape? Like, as I said earlier, flat is not a shape. So if you think you're where I described in that, ridiculous heliocentric, satanic system, you give away all your power. Kate, and this is about taking back our power. This is about not, asking permission to have our power back. Screw that. We have it. They can't take it from us. We can only give it to them. And the heliocentric system, the soul lure system, they're stealing your soul. They're fishing for your soul with the soul lure system. That's what this is all about. And again, just for those of you listening that are triggered, that are ready to turn this off, ready to write off Kate, I was you. Everyone was you at some point. When you first hear about this, you're like, get out of here. And you have to ask yourself, why would the government lie about everything but space? The one thing that you can't go verify yourself. So there you go.
Yeah, why would they? They do lie. And
they don't lie.
They do lie. And you talk about being terrified, being a normie. These are the ones that are on their 7th and 8th COVID shot. They're probably actually the ones that have sex just once a week. I can't get off that topic. Could somebody please work out? I do 3 hours of weights a week. Can somebody please work out how many sessions I'd need to have to offset that?
Well, that would be
anyway. Back.
I did the math already. 28 sessions if you're 30 seconds per session.
Wow. Oh, I'm going to be fit. Anyway, Dave. So look, I worked for British Airways for 10 years, the world's favorite airlines. I was a trolley dolly. And I kept on nursing during it on some of my days off, just in case some of you go, oh, she wasn't a nurse. Shut up. I trained as a nurse in 1984. Get your facts right. Anyway, a lot of the pilots, very quietly, I used to say to them, flat Earth, even then, and they used to go, yeah, but they won't talk about it. What have you come across with some pilots? Tell us about that.
So we just recently put out a video, a 3-hour video, 28 pilots from major airlines all talking about how they know the Earth is flat. And a few years ago, we had I think it was British Airways pilot, a senior pilot, a woman, and she did a whole lecture on explaining technically why the Earth is flat, how it can't be a ball, and she was grounded the next day, and we don't even know what happened to her after that. So yeah, your entire career, is at risk by coming out. We've talked to many Qantas pilots, and those are the southern, the ones who are doing the southern routes that are
Australia.
Yeah. They're the ones that have to do these crazy routes, and they've all figured it out. And they say they talk about it freely among themselves in the pilot's lounge, but nowhere else, because they don't want to lose their pilot.
What are they saying, Dave? What are they saying? Tell us what they're saying.
They're saying what we're saying. The Earth is flat. This is amazing, and they're taking their power back, but they want to also keep their jobs in this fiat money system so they can survive and provide for their families. Pilots for major airlines have a pretty decent life. They get a lot of perks. They get paid fairly well, and why would you risk all of that? I understand why risking all of it. I think everyone should. If everybody came out, there'd be no more. Excuse me.
Yeah. I risked everything and lost everything and had to start again.
And would you do it again? Would you do it again exactly the same way?
With knobs on.
Yes, there you go. So there was recently a pilot for a major, I don't want to give any names, for a major piloting, let's call it a union, contacted me, and now I have about 20 different pilots from American Airlines, JetBlue, all the major airlines over here that they're in my contacts, and they're all talking with me, and they're like, this is incredible. And here's what's going on, Kate. This is fantastic. If you're on a ride, let's say you have to take a 3-hour or a 5-hour drive with somebody, and you have somebody in the car seat that's not a flat earther, you've got their attention and you're where there's no cell phone service, so they can't get on the phone and ignore you. What are you going to do for that 5 hours? You're going to flat smack them, right? You're just going to hammer them and hammer them and hammer them. Well, that's what pilots are doing, because after takeoff, it's all autopilot. They got nothing to do in that cockpit. So these flat Earth pilots are flat smacking their other pilots, and they're coming over fast. There's pilots waking up every day. I don't see how it could last another year without every pilot knowing that the Earth is flat.
Wow. So tell me, we've had a chat before. You've been on another show that I do. Although TNT, I love these guys. This is the one. It is today anyway. You said about, when you sit on the flight, at the back of the seat, the little screen shows you the flight coming over, and it shows you where you are, and it shows you how long you're going to be. You told me something different. Can you hit everyone with that?
Well, it depends on the flight. Northern flights, everything inside, in the northern part, they're not much different. They are different than a globe and a flat Earth. It's when you get into the outer lands, south of the equator, that things get really screwed up as far as flights go. When you're going, there's certain flights that they take weird routes. We had Max Egan. He, not a flat earther at the time, was going from Santiago to Australia, and a lot of flat earthers at that time said that flight can't exist. I actually thought
Santiago in Chile, folks, South America.
And so he was on it, and he took compass readings the whole way. And from his flight, he basically should have gone south and then southwest or something to get there. But he went northwest, and then west, and then southwest, and then south. And if you chart that on a flat Earth map, it is a straight line from Santiago to Australia. So his compass reading, what the plane showed was just an arbitrary line in the Southern Ocean, which is provably he didn't take.
And who would, maybe that's what we should all do, take our compasses on the flights. Listen, folks, don't go away, because cover me, I'm going in. I'm down that rabbit hole on TNT Radio Live. right back after a little word from our sponsors.
You should hear what Alan Miller is talking about.
I think it's important not to project an idea on something that doesn't exist. So if people actually declare that they're not into national liberation and they're not into the freedom of a nation state and they just want destruction, you should pretty much believe them. I don't think that if someone's a Democrat and a freedom fighter, the idea of just destroying a whole group of people is anything beyond just that. And people that have been to festivals, as many of us all have, getting mowed down, is certainly nothing to do with freedom and liberation of people, children and many others. Obviously, at the same time, there's huge concern now about what's happening in Gaza, as there should be. And it's possible to hold a number of views at the same time about the fact that people should be free and people should have national independence and liberties and privacy and rights. And that should be discussed openly. It's also very concerning that both in France and now in Britain, the idea of silencing people who've got ideas, not actions, but ideas, whether they're waving flags or saying things, should somehow be prevented from doing that.
Alan Miller and today's News Talk Radio, TNT.
That's substantive. That's important. And that reach and that touch point and that daily reinforcement. It's an amazing place to be able to communicate messages.
Well, that was weird. No, we're going back now.
More. Go to tntradio.live. Kate Shemirani on today's News Talk, TNT Radio.
I'm Kate Shemirani, the natural nurse in a toxic world, exposing your medical crimes in tyrannical times. And sometimes I just have to bring you the biggest crime ever, and then everything goes on the back of it, because we're told all through scripture that we should walk in authority. We have the ability to heal. I've talked about this so much. And that light, first of all, God moved and the Holy Spirit across the water. There was the water first. And what is that? That movement is energy. Then you get light. The Lord gave us light. And it's that light going into your hydrogen. Anyway, I go on and on and on because I'm always amazed at all of it. But look, admiration becomes the carbon paper that transfers character qualities by the rubbing of one life against another. And I'm in full admiration today of my guest, David Weiss, Flat Earth Dave. And he's telling us lots of things. And, you know, it's difficult to really relay where we're just on audio. So we're going to give you where you can find him and everything at the end. But look, I've been through the Natural History Museum in London. It's got dinosaurs everywhere. Well, they're not really dinosaurs. They're just replicas. And I'm a Northern girl. You know, very few went to university when I left school or did apprenticeships. Everybody else, all the blokes, went down the pit. Then all of a sudden the pit's closed. We had Arthur Scargill, another fibber, and the tyrant and the miners' strikes. Miners died on the end of the cops battering them. But that's another era. But we were told there wasn't enough coal. The same with the oil. And yet many people will tell you that the oil is always there and more to come. And ancient explorers who didn't even know each other, who explored all at different times, told of this ice edge all around. And they also told of 4 holes where the oceans drained into. I told you I was going down that hole, and to cover me, I'm going in. Dave, what can you say about that? What should we say about this ice ring around? The dinosaurs, the oil, the explorers. It's all a load of Corona BS.
People don't realize, you know, we look at all the history back to and all of our history is fake, by the way, but going back to the pyramids, never once did anyone ever come across a dinosaur in any ancient construction ever. And then in the mid 1800s, some royal guy wrote a paper about dinosaurs, theorizing about dinosaurs. No one had ever wrote a paper about dinosaurs, nothing. Published it. And then a year later to the day, he and his team discovered a dinosaur. What a coincidence. Amazing. And that's it. No, people are like, well, I've seen dinosaur bones. They're made in China from chicken bones, all put together in a slurry. No dinosaur head has ever been found. They literally find like a whale bone on top of a mountain. Can't figure out how that happened. So they say, oh, it was a dinosaur. They found one little vertebrae, and then they say, oh, that was a dinosaur. And they create this, you know, structurally impossible, nonsensical animal. You know, I challenge anyone, go buy a couple Stegosaurus dolls and tell me how they mate. Let me know how they mate. Okay. because it can't happen. I mean, just look at it.
There's a challenge for you folks. We want to see how Stegosauruses mate, and somewhere in that as well, you'll find how I mate somewhere.
And then as far as the ice wall is very, 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 very easy. The ice wall, large bodies of water at rest need containment. If you want to take a bath and you don't have a tub, you can't take a bath. If you want to go swimming in the pond, if there's no sides to the pond, there's no water in the pond. A lake is a bigger pond. The world oceans are a bigger lake. And so our oceans, our world pond needs containment. And that containment is just land that surrounds all the way around our world pond. And that land is called Antarctica. Guess what? By coincidence, Antarctica has the highest average land elevation of any continent on Earth. Well, that's the container of our water. It's higher and it holds our oceans in. So what's beyond the shoreline? The ice wall, because it's, you got your 200 high foot plateau containing the water like a tub. What's beyond it? I don't know.
Why don't we know? I want to go there. Is there not a holiday? Has someone not come up with a travel company?
So
I want to go. Over the ice wall or us.
There's 100 companies that'll take you to Antarctica. It's not cheap. 10 grand is probably the cheapest. More like 50, 60 grand for a couple days. They'll take you to the very, very tip of Antarctica, and they'll show you some penguins, some ice, and that's it. You're not allowed to explore. You don't even get really near the real shoreline. So, and those 100 companies are all run by the same commission. So it's really one company pretending to be 100 companies. So they have competition, and it's the same thing, highly controlled. When you go there, you can't, there's nothing you really can do. And also, the only reason to go there to prove flat Earth is to film the 24-hour sun, but no one's been able to do that because it doesn't exist.
Why?
Because it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Yeah. And now there are people, wait a minute, I've seen it. And you Google and 24-hour sun. Yeah, you'll find some videos, but we've analyzed those videos and we show like we're watching a shadow of a pole go around and then it jumps 10 hours. And then it jumps 10 hours. So we actually contacted these places in Antarctica and they said, well, we have limited bandwidth, so we don't film the whole thing. What? I'm like, what? How about just film one day for us in December or January and show us the 24-hour sun? No, we can't do that. So again, there's only excuses for the globe. There's no proof of the globe. I offer 3 Bitcoins. That's around 100 grand right now for one globe proof, just one. But you have to take the challenge. The challenge is don't waste my time because I know what you're going to say. Seasons, sunsets, the boats over the horizon, and all of that has been debunked for those willing to look. But if you want to look, you can't go to Google, you can't go to YouTube. It's like, tell me how it would be less successful than saying something about the truth about COVID on YouTube. Would you get an actual result? No, you get fed all of the propaganda, and that's what happens when you search flat Earth. That's what happens when you search my name. Yeah, well, of course. And flat Earth is not banned; it's hidden. So you'll only find what they want you to find. If you search flat Earth, all of the videos that come up are nonsense. So you have to know where to go. And the best place to go, in my opinion, is flatearthdave.com because I've sorted it all out there for you.
I'm going to own up. I've subscribed as well to the club. So Dave, Georgia Guidestones. We all saw these Guidestones and it kept all of us minions on this earth running around squawking World Economic Forum. Bah! What's his face that looks like he looks like Ming the Merciless. He looks like, something off a movie. Klaus Schwab. We saw him, Charles, all the rest of them. We're all running around Georgia Guidestone saying we need to cull the population, even though you could fit all of us in Yorkshire shoulder to shoulder and there'd still be space. But what about those Georgia Guidestones? All of a sudden, they disappeared. They got bulldozed. I wonder why. Can you tell us?
Yeah, so it's very simple. So going back, there's a shaft through the Great Pyramid of Giza that points to exactly at Polaris. And we say, how could it point at Polaris if the Earth is wobbling like they tell us? And the globe, zealots would go, Well, it used to be pointing at Thuban 2,000 years ago, but now just happens to be pointing towards another star. And in 2,000 years, there'll be another star in there, which is ridiculous because we just happen to live in the short period of time that it's pointing. And it's, as far as we know, in all of history, it's always been pointing there. We have no proof that it's been pointing anywhere else. Well, the guide stones also had a hole in them. They were put up in 1981, and you look through that little hole, any night of the year, day also, but you just can't see it during the day because the sky's blue. It points to Polaris and it never moves. Now, there's a lot of problems with that. Like, if we're moving 4.4 billion miles a year, through space, how the heck could it point at Polaris? And their argument is, well, Polaris is so far away, there's no parallax. 4.4 billion miles and there's no parallax. Nothing ever moves because it's so far away. There's so many things wrong with that. We could take a whole show explaining how that's scientifically impossible. But, excuse me, they also say that the Earth is wobbling 1 degree every 76 years. Well, 1 degree, I believe, is about 3 moon widths. So if you chart out the sky, 3 moon widths. And the Georgia Guidestones were up for just over 40 years. And so we pointed out, like, hey, that Polaris should be well out of that hole by at least a half a degree, which is plenty to make it out of that hole. But it was still right there in the center of the hole. Amazing why we're corkscrewing through space. So that started kind of going viral. Bam, a terrorist blew up the Guidestones. Okay. And the Guidestones, only like one pillar blew up. And within hours, Kate, just like on 9/11, they bulldozed the whole thing. No investigation, no nothing. Because there was current recent proof that you can't claim pointed towards something else that showed that we're not wobbling 100% in stone. And they bulldozed it, and now everyone except you and I have forgotten about it.
Yeah, I haven't forgotten about it. I haven't forgotten about any of it. So the oceans, these explorers, going back, I know you've said it's like a tub. Yeah. Well, we're told that the moon gives us tides. And I'm always curious by that, because surely if it was the moon, wouldn't we get that on our fish ponds? In our bathwater, we get kind of tides. Yeah, there are so many problems with the tides on the Earth, the way they describe it. Because when we have a new moon, when we have a full moon, we have extra high tides. Well, a full moon is on the opposite side of the Earth than the sun. So when there's a full moon, the sun is to the right and the moon is to the left if you're in the middle. Okay, so why is the moon's gravity, a smaller object, able to pull tides when the sun's gravity, which can hold on to the Earth and Pluto and everything in between, except other moons, can pull the water? That's a huge problem. 2, the tides don't sync up with the moon anyway. It's ridiculous. Neil deGrasse Tyson has this most ridiculous explanation that the bulges are there on opposite sides of the Earth, and the Earth is rotating through the bulge of water. That's a lie. That's 100% a complete and total lie. There's also a thing called tidal nodes, where on the Earth there's all of these spots where there is no tide, and then a high tide and a low tide circle around those nodes. So that's another problem. And think about this: if it's the gravity of something pulling the ocean to make it full, wouldn't that make a low tide? Wouldn't if you're pulling the ocean from the middle of the ocean, wouldn't it pull the water away from the land into a bulge in the ocean? So it would make it low tide. Tides are water moving on the Earth. Now, you talked about the hole in the Earth. I personally believe that the Earth is breathing twice a day, in and out, in and out. The water's in the north, and that's why there's like 30-foot tides in the far north in some areas. And at the equator, there's zero tide at the Maldives. The Maldives are like a foot above the water and they don't flood. Okay, there's no tide. So, and the other thing is the Earth is spinning, so centrifugal force would push water to the equator. Neil deGrasse Tyson says there's a bulge of water due to the centrifugal spin of the Earth 14 miles high. 14 miles high? If you're flying from England to Brazil, you have to go over that bulge. Okay, so 14 miles high, an airplane flies 5 miles high.
So you have to triple. You have to triple your height, which would scare the crap out of you, just to skim the belly of the plane over that bulge of water. Why isn't Africa underwater? Here's the thing. Anybody listening to this that hasn't been into flat Earth, you're short-circuiting right now. Your brain just cannot handle the boatload of information I just gave you, which is only a tiny bit of information, because you're not trained, you're not programmed to think that way. All of the stuff about tides actually proves flat Earth. It's ridiculous. And only when you look into it will you see how stupid it is. But the problem is we're all trusting people. Well, you're not, I'm not, but people are born trusting. And when you see a guy in a lab coat, the power of the lab coat, oh, he must be real. The guy's wearing a bow tie. He's not a failed comedian. He's a scientist. Okay. And they tell you these nonsensical things. You just believe it, because in school, not everybody loves science. Not everybody, you're like, I just got to get the A. How do you get the A, Kate? By looking for the truth, or memorizing and regurgitating the Rockefeller, funded disinformation? You tell me.
Yeah, we have to regurgitate it. Actually, our physics teacher, Mr. Russell, please, I hope he's not, I don't think he'll be listening to this. He must be ancient by now. But we used to call him Jack Russell, like the dog. So people used to go, woof, woof. And he used to turn around and pelt wherever the noise came from with the board rubber. That was in the days when the teachers could wallop you. And we didn't have any of this nonsense that you've got going on now. I mean, I'm not saying, listen, I'm not advocating violence. Get over yourselves. But I am saying that board rubber coming in my direction didn't kill me. It did hit a couple of the guys. But yeah, we were taught that Darwin's theory of evolution, we all evolved from monkeys. Rubbish. Darwin, look who he was. He was all part of this whole lineage. We had, who was the other one? Oh gosh, he wrote Brave New World. I've got the book on my shelf. I've got Aldous Huxley. Yeah, we had Leonard Huxley before him, Aldous' grandfather, who did the Gnostics and Agnostics. These people have all kept the lie coming all the way down. You can go right back to King James. He was a Freemason. They're all at it, and they're all lying. And for whatever reason, there are many of us who walk among the normies who've always been told as kids that we were weirdos, that we were odd, and we never trusted the bastardized science any more than we trust it now. So, Dave, if someone comes to you, and let me tell you, I got hammered after having you on the last show. And people were really throwing their dummies at the plans. Oh, you've lost all credibility. I said, no, I've gained credibility. But let me tell you, one of the comment sections on a Telegram page would normally just get a handful of comments after my show. It had over 100 comments after this show. So this clearly is a topic that really gets people going. So one of my patients came to me the other day, and when I said I was having you on the show, she told me that I'm always a topic of conversation at her dinner parties. And that's because they believe everything the government says. They believe the government loves you and they're your mummy and daddy. It's not true. There's a T-shirt out there actually with that on, my slogan. You can buy it. But what would you say to these people? What would be your top things that would prove to these people or get them really thinking, the meat and potatoes of it? One-liners for the dinner party naysayers who think we're, like you said, on a globe whizzing through space about to be rammed with an asteroid at any minute.
This is the problem. It's the one-liner. Nobody has any attention span. People hate TikTok because it's all these short videos, but because of everyone's short attention span, TikTok has become a very effective way to get people, because you can get them with a 1 or 2 minute video, and then they're like, wait, now I'm thinking, because I got a video. It's one video. It's 5 hours long, and it's scientifically impossible to watch it from beginning to end and not end up being a flat earther by the end of it, because it lays it all out there. But you try getting a normie to watch a 5 hour, let alone 25-minute video on something that they think is stupid. They just won't do it. So these one-liners, it all depends on the person. It's all different things. It might be the moon landing. It might be the fact that YouTube is censoring flat earth, that they hide it from your history, that it might be just, boats going over the horizon, being able to zoom them back in. It all depends on the person. But one thing that a lot of normies consider their God is money. So that's why I offer $100,000, 3 Bitcoins, for one globe proof. If Kate, if you're a nutcase by having this nutcase on your show, because the earth is obviously a physical ball, well, that's easy. You can come up with 500 proofs. I don't want 500 proofs. I want one proof that we live on a globe. Okay. And everybody has the same thing. When I first heard about it, I went into this going, I'm just going to prove the globe, disprove flat earth, and get all of these idiots away from my podcast, leaving stupid comments on our Facebook page and everything. So I went in with a bad attitude. And it's only when you go in to try to prove the globe that you'll realize the globe is the dumbest thing ever. The globe is dumber than the COVID vaccine. Okay? It's dumber. I'm sorry.
It is. And listen, we're not dumb here at TNT Radio Live. That's why we've got you on, Dave. I'm in the Dave fan club now. You've got me. But look, let's just have a quick word from our sponsors. And then we're going to tell you where you can find Dave, everything else, what you get. And listen, if you're really skint, get out there, get researching, because you could be the owner of those Bitcoins. I doubt it, though. I doubt it. Back in a minute.
De-weaponizing weather with reality and perspective.
A lot is being made of the big storms that are slamming the United Kingdom right now, but they are an interesting precursor to the winter. Back in the winter of 2009-2010, major storms started pounding away in northwest Europe, and then eventually they spread inland during the month of November. And what that was a signal of was that the upper air jet stream was beginning to cut underneath, beginning to look for its winter position. Now, last year, much of the time, it went up to the north of everybody. So it was a very warm winter across much of Europe. But this year, it looks like it's going to cut into the south, and it's going to be blocking over the top. What's blocking? Well, that's high pressure. It tries to develop over Scandinavia and back toward Greenland, which turns the mean wind more northeast than normal across much of northern Europe into the UK and leads to the colder winter. So the big rainstorms don't just mean it's raining now. They may mean something later on down the road and may not be rain. This is TNT climate and weather watchdog meteorologist Joe Bastardi asking you to enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.
Eggs. You can fry them, scramble them, poach them, boil them, or race them on a spoon. But uncooked eggs can be a risk for food poisoning. To be safe, avoid buying dirty or cracked eggs. Always wash your hands after handling eggs. And if you're concerned, pregnant, elderly, or have a poor immune system, make sure you cook eggs until the yolk starts to firm. Or look for new pasteurized eggs. For excellent eggs, handle them safely.
For those who crave more than just reading headlines in their social media feeds.
People need to wake up.
Today's News Talk, TNT Radio.
And I'm Kate Shemirani, the natural nurse in a toxic world. I always listen to the ads because, you know, I'm more of a terrain theory gal. The germ theory is all a lie. The whole thing about as well, you can catch that was for Rockefeller to sell us vaccines. And we're really smart. I'm going to finish and keep Dave on to the end. But before that, I just want to give you, because I don't want you, you know, to think that, excuse me, oh, I've got a cough, I must have COVID. I don't want you to think that I just bring you bad things. And just to say, we did get hammered by the storm and my greenhouse is still standing. I've got it weighted down with weights out of my gym in my garage. I've got all kinds of stuff in there ready for growing. But look, let me tell you something about the Lord's beautiful creation. Bees, and we need them, and bee pollen. So stop buying crud this Christmas for the people that you love. They don't need chocolates. They don't need any of that garbage. Bee pollen, let me tell you, it's nature's perfect food. It's nutritionally complete. It's got 22 amino acids, 27 minerals, a full span of vitamins, complex carbohydrates, essential fatty acids, enzymes and coenzymes. Bee pollen has 5 to 7 times more protein than beef. It's fabulous. It's nutrient rich, increases energy, helps to normalize your body from diarrhea or constipation. It tranquilizes without side effects, increases blood hemoglobin. That's your oxygen carrying capacity. It rids the body of toxins from drugs, alcohol, smoking, and chemicalized food. Chelates and flushes out artery clogging biochemical deposits. Reduces the negative effects associated with radiation. And it protects against skin dehydration and stimulates the growth of new skin tissue. Get yourself a bag of fabulous, organic, natural bee pollen. And last night I mashed up some banana with some cacao nibs, cacao powder, a little bit of honey, some walnuts, and then I put some of these sprinkles of bee pollen on the top. It was like popping candy with a chocolate mousse, but there was no sugar in it, no crud in it. And remember, sugar is white acid poison. It's the same process that they use to get heroin from the poppies, that they use to get sugar out of the sugar beet. And it's lighting up all the parts of your brain, just like crack cocaine does. And you know what's even worse? It fries your nerve endings. That's why diabetics get this diabetic neuropathy. And this is what I leaned into a little bit last week about bedwetting. People suddenly feeling that they can't hold it. Women, oh, it's because I'm older. I've got to get to the toilet. You know, every time they're going on a journey, every 2 minutes, I've got to stop and go to the toilet, or I might pee myself. It's because it's fried your nerve endings in your bladder, and so your bladder overfills, so you literally can't hold it. That dirty ass sugar is just poison. That's why I say the Food and Drug Administrations, they should have a terrorist flag above it. Bee pollen. Get your loved ones a bag of bee pollen instead of a box of chocolates this Christmas. Anyway, back to Flat Earth Dave, because I love him. He's fabulous. It just makes me laugh at the whole ridiculousness of life. I can't wait for the next time I visit the Natural History Museum. It's going to be even more entertaining than it ever was. Dave, it's all yours. Tell us more.
So before, when you asked, why the lie, why does it matter? When I first started researching, all the nonsense in the world from 9/11 to everything else, I was, I have to say it, and it's hard to say right now, I was an atheist because I didn't believe any of it. I believed in evolution. I believed in everything. Yeah, really horrible. And it's like, it's horrifying to look back and go, I was a global believer, I was an atheist. I mean, what the hell happened to me? But that's a vast majority of the world, unfortunately. So when I would be listening to something, these guys are great, I'm taking down notes, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, and then they'll mention something from the Bible or the Quran or whatever, and I'm like, tear up all my notes, unsubscribe, and I wouldn't listen to them because they're a bunch of religious fanatics. When people hear about flat Earth, a lot of people go, oh, it's a big Christian thing. It's a big Christian thing. It's not, but there's a lot of Christians that are becoming flat earthers, and that's actually going to change on December 2nd. There's a massive debate at a mega church going to happen, but we'll get into that. But what I wanted to say is, why do they lie? Because if everybody knew without a doubt that there was a creator and that we are in a created place, the governments could not control us. They've always had trouble controlling people that have a strong connection to the creator, to God. And that's what flat Earth does to you. When I found out the Earth was flat, my mind went, holy crap. And I had to reassess everything in my life. So that's the number one reason. The heliosinister system is a satanic system. And, we can spend an hour going through all of the number 666s in the heliocentric model. It's insane. I don't even know how they figured out how to get that much into it. It's to hide the creator. So just wanted to say that. That's an important part. Where you can find me, everything that I talk about, I have an app that'll help you learn about flat Earth and teach about flat Earth, and it's at flatearthdave.com. If you have a radio show or know of a radio show that needs to have this conversation, especially if they think flat Earth is stupid, connect me with them. Reach out to me. There's a book Flat Earth Dave link at flatearthdave.com, and help me get on these shows to talk to these people. I love talking to Kate. She gets it. The audience is, I'm sure probably 50% of your audience is flat at this point. But there's so many people that are just have that initial, this is dumb. You've discredited yourself. I was afraid to talk about flat Earth. I had a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. We were going through all of the deceptions. And when I found about flat Earth, I was like, I don't really want to talk about it on the podcast because I'm going to lose my audience. But then I realized, wait a minute, my audience is lost if they're living on a ball. And I brought it up, and I lost my podcast because my two co-hosts couldn't handle it. And so then I started the Flat Earth podcast, and that went super viral, and it's amazing. So here I am, flatearthdave.com. If you don't want to get the app, that's fine. Just go to the crash course on my site, click it, and there's video.
Incidentally, the app's only $299.
Yeah,
a year. It's so cheap.
And it has, a lot of people go, I'm a flat earther. I have no one to talk to. Guess what? Your neighbor is a flat earther. Go on the app, join the friend finder, and you can see all of the other people that have joined the friend finder around you. You can message them. You can have calls with them. You can play games with them on the app. You can do all this stuff. And honestly, Kate, people have said it's the greatest dating app for truthers because all of those blue dots on the app are awake and aware and unvalidated and they're amazing.
Hang on a sec.
People.
Hang on a sec. Can we swipe left if we don't like the look of them? Can you please put a photo on there?
No, you can.
I mean, can you imagine me on a date? Can you imagine me on a regular dating app now? I wouldn't go on a dating app. I don't need to. I'm fighting them off with a stick. There's men sleeping on my doorstep. But what I'm saying
when you go to the profiles, it has it's literally looks like a Facebook profile. You got your picture, you can post stuff, you got your friends, you can post some stuff about yourself, so you can find stuff. And then also, it's going to be to the point where, let's say, I wanted to move to the UK and I wanted whatever. I could search UK real estate broker. I could find a flat Earth real estate broker in the UK. So it's gonna bring people together because guess what? The big insult in 2014 was, oh, good luck ever getting a job, you stupid flat earther. Guess what? We don't want to work with you guys. We only want to work with each other. Flat Earth is going to be, you're going to need to be a flat earther to get a job because we're going to take over. So, if
Dave, just to say, it's really interesting. You just said that.
Yeah.
Like me, they took my registration away. I couldn't give a rat's ass. I wear it as a badge of honor. It's like knocking on the door of the gas chamber saying, can I have my job back when you just managed to get out? I'm not interested. And everyone said, I lost all my business. I'm doing now what I always wanted to do all over the place is educate on how to avoid and reverse disease naturally. So all the flat earthers are all the same lectures I go to. They're interested in all of the same things. They're not just awake to this. They're awake to everything. So it really is a kind of my tribe.
We just had an international conference in Las Vegas. About 500 people showed up. And every single person that you talk to is on the same page. It's amazing. So, you go out to a bar, to a party, you're surrounded by normies. And you have very little talk about it. I get it. I get it. But here, every person you bump into, you could have any conversation and nobody gets triggered because we're all on the same page. So all I tell people is don't believe anything that Kate and I are saying. Go look, break the programming. The Rockefellers are not here for your education. They're here to control the world, to control your mind. Go out and look. All of the people listening to you, they found out that they're lying about this whole COVID thing. So go out and investigate, but let us help you find the information because it's all being hidden.
Absolutely true. And, let me just throw in some medical things here. The lie that is statins. They tell you that your cholesterol, your bad cholesterol. So you take a statin, which blocks fat. So what do you get? Dementia, muscle weakness. Yeah. Absolutely. Every time it destroys the heart, blocks the heart protective enzyme, CoQ10. That's a massive lie for me. The medical, another big lie. And they've even got the 1939 Cancer Act in this country. You cannot even mutter the word cure or you'll go to jail for 3 months.
Oh, amazing.
You've got to remember, you are the cash cow. Your body is the commodity.
Yep.
And they'll make money off it. We know all about the end of life care. We've got some terrible stuff to tell you next week. But this is absolutely true what Dave's saying. You're listening to me because you can absolutely feel it right between your butt crack that something is absolutely wrong. And this is, stop looking at your TV, constantly seeing all of these things, these negative things that you're seeing around the world, because what they're doing is they are dragging you into that low vibrational state. If you actually start looking at how you can avoid and reverse disease, listen to me. Get on the TNT website, incidentally. If you want to listen to more of me, you need to start buying yourself sweatshirts, puffer jackets, tea towels, mugs, slippers, whatever they've got. Hats. I'm going to buy myself a whole outfit. But look, if you want to, get that feeling up, when you start looking at Flat Earth Dave's website, you start listening to me, you know what's going to happen? You're going to start waking up in the morning feeling quite joyful and thinking, what an amazing time to be alive. Because the mask is off, the green curtain's pulled back. What do you say to that, Dave?
Absolutely, Kate. I'm never bored. I went through corporate America, and then I ended up starting my own business. And I had what we call the American dream, I had my own business. I was my own boss, making tons of money. And then this whole flat earth thing, this truth thing, I was like, my partners are like, you can't do this. You can't post stuff like that. I'm posting stuff about those corrupt lawyers. And then these lawyers are supposed to be working with us on projects. So I had to leave. I left my own business to do this. Greatest decision I've ever made. Craziest decision in normie world. I mean, I literally built what most people dream of. And then I walked away from it all to talk to people like you and to help wake the world up. I couldn't be happier. Life is amazing. And also I work 7 days a week now. I work while I'm sleeping. In the middle of the night, I'm like thinking of stuff, and it's nonstop, but it's because if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And wait, the last thing.
Absolutely. That's how I feel.
Go to any old age home, find the 5 oldest, healthiest people, and they all have the highest cholesterol.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You know, I've talked about that so much. Constantly. And did you hear what Dave said? When you do what you love, if you make money your master, it's going to make you miserable, because it's a good servant, but it's a bad master. And it's in scripture. Idolatry, all of these things, you know, Romans 13, I keep saying it, folks. Romans 13, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Share. So today, when this show finishes, I'm heading off into the great downs of Sussex. I'm going over the cliff, but not literally over the cliff into the ocean. I'm going to go and get myself some exclusion zone energy, the 4th state of water ripping through my cells. I'm going to have a big walk with my dogs over towards Burling Gap. If you don't know it, you should all do it if you're visiting the UK. You need to turn off your TVs and get out. It really is a fantastic time to be alive on the Lord's fantastic creation. And I can tell you, when I last interviewed Dave, I got on the app. Everybody knows I do coffee enemas. I do a coffee enema every morning. That's literally a litre of coffee. You're right. It goes up my rear end. They were in the Merck medical manual. They cleanse the liver. I love it. Me and my mates chat while we're doing a coffee enema. There's going to be a coffee chat on my new website, 6:15 in the morning. You can join us where we all chat whilst we're doing our upside down, putting a litre of coffee up our asses. We're doing it. It cleanses the liver. But do you know what? I have had such fun not chatting to anybody during my coffee enema, watching the videos that I've found because of flatearthdave.com and that app. And it's just amazing. But for the person who wrote into me about apocrine chromohydrosis, that's when your sweat is bright yellow, or sometimes it's blue. It can be blue in pregnancy. We've all had those fellas, haven't we, where we've got our beautiful white cotton bed linen in and they've sweated on the pillow and it's yellow, or they've sweated on the sheet and it's yellow, or their white shirts are yellow under the pits right down to the elbows. And we think, what is that? Well, it's that. Apocrine chromohydrosis due to lipofusion granules in the sweat glands. And it's thought that the lipofusions produced from the oxidation of unsaturated fatty acids within the gland. Higher levels of oxidation result in darker colours. It's unknown why it happens. Well, I've noticed it happens in people that eat a lot of meat. So maybe you should have 2 days where you don't eat meat and you eat lentils. And we're not supposed to have half a cow on our plate. We're supposed to have a small serving the size of the palm of your hand. But of course, we don't. We overdo it. But right now, I really don't care. You can go out and eat what you like, because I am in the flat earth movement. Dave, you've been a fantastic guest. It's such an honor to meet you. And I will be emailing you later. And ladies and gents, Christmas is coming. Your missus is getting fat. Please get her flat on her back and tell her that sex burns off loads of calories. You've been listening to TNT Radio Live with me, Kate Shemirani, your natural nurse in a toxic world. Don't forget to email me all your problems, your freebies. Oh my word, how I love your freebies. Kate Shemirani at tntradio.live. Join me next week for another fantastic episode.
Simply go to episodes at